Hello, this video I'm going to be picking and getting this MUL-T-LOCK Jr. This is a lock I recently received from Left Hand Loki. I got it as part of as one of the winners of the 500 subscriber appreciation giveaway. So this was one of the two locks that he sent me. This was the MUL-T-LOCK Jr. It's a 5 pin dimple lock. And it's a lock that I've wanted to pick for a long time, but just never have. But I was able to pick this last weekend, and so I'm hoping that I'll be able to do that for you now on camera as well as gut it. So I am going to be using the vise for this. I'm going to be using a 1.5 millimeter thick Z-bar, and I'm going to be careful to slide it in so that I don't rub it against these pens. And I'm going to be using the number 7R3 multi-pick flag here. I'm using that because it's what Nigby recommended and it's been working for me. I'm going to be using what is light tension for me. Normally it's lighter than what I normally would use. So let me get this in a spot where it works for both of us. So at this point, when I see that big rotation like that, I'm not going to twist this flag hard enough to do like counter rotation on pins, because that's going to overset something. So at this point, I'm just doing real light rotations. Sort of like tap, tap, tap it in. Happy Gilmore. Just tap it in. There, we got her open. Cool, cool. So try to keep this in frame. Alrighty. There we go. Let's go ahead and gut this thing. So that wasn't a blind pick for me. I've been practicing a bunch with this, progressively pinning it. And I was doing what Parkinson Picking mentioned. He had mentioned at some point in one of his videos, somebody had suggested progressively pinning, and I think doing 50 picks each for each like pin stack. And so that's what I did with this to get more practice with it and get more reliable opening it up. Because when I picked it earlier, I was hoping it wasn't a fluke, but it kind of was. I just wasn't able to repeatedly open it. Ooh, no. Starting to drop pins out. Here, I'll rotate that so you see we're not losing anything. There we go. Oop. Got caught on one there. Make sure I push that down. Alright, cool. So we go ahead and drop these out first. You can take a quick look. You can see one of those fell down there real quick, but go through and do those. Okay, there's our plug. We'll go ahead and do our housing. Okay, so there's no milling or anything like that inside the housing here, nor is there any milling inside the chambers here for the key pins. These are all smooth right here. There is this milling sort of ridges along the plug. I'm not sure what that's for. I'm not sure what would be interacting with it. Maybe it has something to do with one of their other designs. See if I can carefully lift this. Okay. Close up view. So over here on the left, you can see those drivers, and we have 4 spooled drivers and 1 smooth driver. And then over here on the right, you can see those key pins, and we have sort of 2 mushroom-shaped key pins. All of our inner pins look smooth. I don't know if they ever do anything like serrations or things like that on inner pins, but these ones all look very smooth. And our other key pins here are key pins on 2, 3, and 4. You may notice it looks like there's a, let me give you a closer view of that. There's a very tiny groove you may be able to see right at the top there. I'm not sure what that groove is for. I don't feel like it's really a serration. I don't think it interacts with anything that I noticed. I'm wondering if it might just be for manufacturing, because I don't think that where it's at, it like interferes or creates like a picking serration kind of feel. But yeah, that's what's in it. It's definitely a tough little lock for me, figuring out how to pick it. I think the big things that I took away were light tension, and I really just sort of reminded myself that sort of Happy Gilmore thing, just tap it in, just real light rotations, trying to lift things without oversetting them. What other stuff should I? Yeah, and then the other big thing was I hadn't picked one of these before, so I wasn't sure like how much counter rotation to expect or anything. So there is like some slight. When you fall into the with the spools, you'll see some rotation. But when you get that real heavy rotation, that's not the spools anymore. I believe that's when you're getting on those inner pins. And so even though you could, like, you may feel counter rotation trying to push these outer key pins up, that's incorrect. When you get that big rotation, just stick with that little tap it in and just try to get those little inner key pins up. And if I'm being honest, I don't even really feel these key pins. I'm just sort of lightly tapping them and going down the line back and forth, because I can't feel like a binding one versus a non-binding one. And I'm thinking that what's been happening is if I use a lot of tension, what ends up happening is I overset things and I push too hard and they all go up. But I'm not 100% sure. Still learning. I'll play with some other multi-locks and dimple locks and see. I'm going to go ahead and put it back together if you want to watch and see how that goes. When you're putting the key pins, these inner pins, back into your key pins, the way you can tell if you've got it the right way is that little key pin will just hang right through. The inner pin will hang inside the outer pin on your key pins, and it won't go through. And that's the way you want to drop it into your plug. These ones, they look almost identical, but that little ridge is going to be on the key side, and there is a slightly more grooved. It's slightly rounder where it interacts with the key. Okay. For the plug, I'll do 4 and 5 first, and then I'll come back to 1 through 3, or 3 through 1. All these springs look the same to me. I don't think there's any order to how they need to go in. As far as the driver pins go, you'll notice here that on one side I can push that inner pin all the way up, and on the other I cannot. It stays like that, so that the one I can't push all the way in, that's going to go towards the spring, and where I can push it flush, that's going to go towards the plug or the key pins. Okay. Now I put my plug back in. I mean, really, I should probably be using a shim, but the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to rotate the plug slightly counterclockwise, so that way I don't have any grooves that are going to catch on those pins. Or as if you see right there, there's that little groove there, so I don't want to rotate clockwise. I want to rotate slightly counterclockwise and push it in that way. Close it up. Yeah. All right, that should be good to go. Give it a real quick function check. All right. Well, there you have it. My first multi-lock picks, gutted and reassembled. Yeah, if you have any questions, comments, suggestions, definitely let me know down in the comments below. And thank you for watching.